1997, the vote, 155 to 2. The whole world on one side, Israel and the United States on the other side. 1998, the vote, 154 to 2. 2002, the vote, 160 to 4. The whole world on one side, including the Czech Republic. On the other side, Israel, the United States, the Marshall Islands, and Micronesia. 2003, the vote, 160 to 6. The whole world on one side, Israel, the US, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Palau, and Uganda on the other side. Skipping closer to the present, we'll just do it quickly. 2007, the vote, 161 to 7. 2008, 164 to 7. And just this past year, a few months ago, the vote, 164 to 7. The whole world on one side this past year, Israel, the United States, Australia, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Nauru, and Palau on the other side. Some of you, I suspect, are a little bit embarrassed because you don't know what Nauru and Palau are. You all know, of course, Micronesia and Marshall Islands, the hyperpowers in the South Sea. Nauru and Palau, with no disrespect to smaller countries, we can say, speaking objectively, that their combined populations can fit in the empty seats in this room. If we wanted to, we could go back even further. Time obviously doesn't allow, but you can go back as far as, say, 1989, which is quite a long time already. It's already 2 decades ago. The vote, it was 151 to 3. The whole world on one side, Israel, the United States, and the island state of Dominica on the other side. That's the picture. And then you have to ask yourselves the question, to the extent that the media even acknowledges a Palestinian reality, to the extent that they even acknowledge it. And my impression from being in the Czech Republic for only 1 day and a half is that it's really, and I don't say this offensively, it's just a really remarkably closed society on this issue. It's much more so, and I'm not using words loosely, it's much more so than the United States. You know, I was invited to speak at several places here, and it's evoked such a hysteria. I'm not trying to boast about myself. I don't travel this far to boast. I'm just speaking objectively. I've spoken many times at Oxford, including in the Oxford Union. I've spoken several times at Harvard, and I'll be speaking at Harvard on March 25th. I've spoken even at the CIA. I have. And yet, there is such a fear here. Your Academy of Sciences had to revoke my invitation. It's as if your Academy of Sciences were an academy of witches and ghosts. It's some sort of medieval institution, and they're terrified of witches and ghosts, of which I am apparently one. I spoke this morning at your Institute for International Relations. To my knowledge, everybody there is still alive. The building didn't cave in. I'm not aware of any eruptions since I left. I don't think it registered more than 2 on the Richter scale, and if it shook a little, it was because some people didn't like what I had to say, not because of what I was saying was untrue. So where does this fear come from? The odd thing is, I am described as controversial. Now, all I ever really do, and I don't say this to be ironic, all I ever really do is just cite what the United Nations says, what the International Court of Justice says, what the human rights organizations have to say. Are they all now extremist and anti-Semitic, and the only reliable source is the Israeli government, the Israeli embassy, and those who work for them? Is that what it's come to in the Czech Republic? I find it really, it's really kind of a surprise for me. I have never, in all my experience, and I speak a lot, it's literally never been the case that I've traveled the distance, and then once I'm here, the invitation is rescinded, is taken back. That's, with all due respect to your country, it's extremely rude and disrespectful. I am not forcing myself on anyone. I was invited. And I know a lot of people are very concerned about Arabs and Islam, Arab culture and Islamic culture. I think you can learn something, or your government can learn something from Arabs about hospitality. That's not the way to treat people. I said to somebody this afternoon, in the Czech Republic, do people invite others to dinner? And when they ring the doorbell, you're told you're not invited anymore? In any event, as I was saying, to the extent that there is even an acknowledgement of the Palestinian side, it's immediately then said, all these issues are controversial. And then you have to decide, do those numbers, 155 to 2, 164 to 7, the International Court of Justice, 14 to 1, and we're looking at the most allegedly controversial issues. Are those controversial, or are we told they're controversial in order to divert attention and